Hey y'all, it's Heel Heat time.
Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles and this is a pay-per-view review for Ring of Honor Best in the World. Now if you've seen a few days ago, I made a prediction show, so let's see how that goes. Our first match of the night is a 6-man Mayhem match, winner getting a future TV title shot. We had ACH versus Watanabe versus Caprice Coleman versus Tommaso Ciampa versus Darius Thomas versus BJ Whitner. That's a mouthful, folks. ACH picking up the win. Unfortunately, I didn't start off too strong. I picked Watanabe. I thought Ring of Honor would have Watanabe win and either have Lethal go to Japan to defend the TV title or Watanabe come in. Either way, building up a little bit more global presence for the product. They decided not to. They went with ACH. Not a bad choice, especially if ACH is a guy that they're going to plan on making the TV champion at some point. I think he's a great addition. I think he'd make a great champion, to be honest with you. But a good opening match, hot start to the show. Let's go right into our second match of the night, the actual TV title match. We have Matt Taven versus Jay Lethal with Truth Martini handcuffed to the ring post. This, I'm going to be honest with you guys, and I'm a Jay Lethal fan. I think this was the worst match on the card. And, you know, not saying this was a terrible match, but I just, out of everything else, I liked everything else better. I did get the prediction right. Jay Lethal did win the match. I didn't see why he would lose to Taven so shortly. Taven without Truth Martini is kind of been like a directionless boat. It's just floating out there in the ocean, don't know where it's going to. Whereas Jay Lethal, as a heel, has given us something fresh and new and something revigorating to his career. However, the match just didn't, I don't know, it just didn't hit for me. I did pick it right, Lethal did win, but out of every match on the card, I think this was my least favorite. Now next up, this was one of my favorites and one of the ones I was looking forward to most going into the show. Roderick Strong versus Cedric Alexander. To me, you'd be hard-pressed to find two wrestlers that are more evenly matched skill-wise, moveset-wise, and just all around. Basically, it'd be like, this is as close as you're going to get to seeing one guy wrestle himself. And that's Roderick Strong, Cedric Alexander. I picked this one right. I picked Alexander picking up the win after all that he's been through with the decade. I think, and I honestly think, Cedric Alexander is eventually going to be a megastar in wrestling. I think this was just another step for Cedric to take on his rocket ship ride to the top. I thought it was an awesome match. I think it lived up to the booking. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I love the fact that Cedric won. He got his comeuppance, as it should be. The face should win on the pay-per-view after months of being tortured by the heels. Thought they did it absolutely right. Now next up, we had Matt Hardy and Michael Bennett versus the Briscoe brothers. And this basically broke down into a no disqualification match when Hardy and Bennett tried to get disqualified early and run away from the Briscoes. Nigel came out, made it a no DQ match. Then we seen the Briscoes at what they do best. All out mayhem, all out, basically just an all-out brawl. The Briscoes showed again why they're one of the top tag teams in the world and have been for a long time. When everybody else was talking about Bad Influence versus Red Dragon on the card, The Briscoes came in and showed, hey, we're still here. We've been here since day one, and we're still the measuring stick here. Briscoes pick up a win, and what I thought was actually a much better match than I thought it was going to be going in. Got this pick right, so we're on a 3 in a row. 3 matches in a row good after starting off wrong with the first one wrong. I thoroughly like this match. Again, it's like the Briscoes wanted to stand up and say, hey, we are Ring of Honor. We're one of the reasons that Ring of Honor is here at pay-per-view, and don't forget about us. Now, next up is another person that's really one of the big reasons that Ring of Honor has made it to pay-per-view. Kevin Steen versus Silas Young. Kevin Steen, skipping ahead, said that after the match he has about a month and a half left before leaving Ring of Honor. I picked this one wrong. I thought that he would put over Young on the way out. Really, there was one of two ways Ring of Honor could have went with this. They could have used him to put over some guys on the way out of there, or they could have gave him basically his respect and have him win, going out showing how important he is to the company and was to the company. Kevin Steen, one of the absolute most popular wrestlers in the history of Ring of Honor. Him and Silas Young didn't disappoint. After the match, Silas shakes his hand, only to come back and cut him out at the knee when Kevin Steen's cutting a promo, basically thanking the fans and everybody for what they've done for him. So I got this one wrong. Second one I got wrong. Next up, we had what can only be called a dream match. Daniels and Kazarian versus Red Dragon, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly. Red Dragon picks up the win. I did get that right. I thought this was a great match, a great way to showcase Red Dragon. For people that haven't seen Ring of Honor before, a lot of people are going to come over, cross over from the TNA audience, most likely. If you're buying the Ring of Honor pay-per-view and you're not too familiar with the show or you're not too familiar with the talent, you do know who Kazarian and Christopher Daniels are, and you know Bad Influence from their TNA exploits. So I thought this was a great way to showcase who Ring of Honor is, what their tag team division's about, and give us what can, like I said, it can only be considered a dream match. A year and a half ago, no one would ever thought this match possible. But it was a good match, came in, I think the crowd was a little bit dead on this because of where it was placed in the show, but Red Dragon picks up the win. I got the pick right. I thought it was a good match. I'd love to see a rematch. I'd love to see them get the Young Bucks involved, maybe a 3-way, or even before Bad Influence, they're just Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian because TNA owns Bad Influence. I'd like to see them go up against the Young Bucks, the Briscoe brothers. I mean, there's a bunch of other tag teams and a bunch of dream matches that still can happen with Bad Influence being on the indie scene. This was just one of them. And last but not least, the main event, Michael Elgin versus Adam Cole. I got this one 100% right. Michael Elgin finally ascended to the top of Ring of Honor. Something that I actually expected to happen about a year ago. Elgin, all he had to do, I guess, was lose the mullet and he was going to become champion. Thought this was a fantastic match. I'd be remiss if I didn't say that Adam Cole had one hell of a world title run, was one hell of a world champion, did great things as world champion. Michael Elgin is a guy that absolutely deserves it. You can see it after the match when he's holding the belt, how much it meant to him to become the Ring of Honor World Champion. Now, folks, I want you to remember, Ring of Honor has been around since 2012. This is the 20th World Championship run. That means only 20 times has this belt changed hands, and only 19 men have held this belt. Some of the greatest wrestlers in the world right now have been former Ring of Honor champions. Whether you talk Austin Aries, Samoa Joe, Tyler Black, a.k.a. Seth Rollins, Daniel Bryan, who was the American Dragon Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, Low Key, Jerry Lynn. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's a who's who of wrestling has held this belt, and Michael Elgin is the newest, the 20th world champion in Ring of Honor history, and I think probably one of the most deserving world champions. Another one I got right, going back over it, I got ACH winning wrong, got Lethal winning right, Alexander winning right, Briscoe's winning right, Steen winning wrong, Red Dragon winning right, and Michael Elgin winning right. So overall, I was 5-2 on the pay-per-view. Not a bad record for myself, I must say. I'm pretty proud of that. I thought I did pretty good. The six-man was hard to call. It was kind of a shot in the dark one. And Steen versus Young, I just thought that the company would go a different way. But with that being said, we're going to go right into our ratings. Now, if you've seen our shows before in the past, you know we have a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. I'm going to give this show a 5. Ring of Honor came right out of the box and hit a home run. This was for the first live pay-per-view in the history of Ring of Honor. This was absolutely the perfect show for that kind of a debut. I'll liken it back to, if anybody remembers, Barely Legal, Ring of Honor, ECW's first pay-per-view, which I still think is one of the 2 or 3 best ECW pay-per-views they ever put on. It's like, just like that, they came out strong, and they showed you why their product is different, and in some cases better, than what you see in TNA and WWE and anything else in the world. But basically, that's all I have to say about that. My name is George Coles, and this has been a Heel Heat review of Ring of Honor's Best in the World.